9 years ago, Raymond Long John Martorano, a veteran organized crime figure, was gunned down in South Philadelphia. And the Martorano hit, according to sources and individuals out on the streets, came in part because Martorano, who had been in prison on a murder charge that was overturned, came back to South Philadelphia and wanted to get back involved in the business, so to speak. He had been a big moneymaker during the Angelo Bruno era, and he thought he deserved a place in the organization after having served his time in prison. That was apparently one of the reasons for the hit. There was, however, another reason, one that surfaced again in a recent conversation with Nicky Caramandi. Caramandi was one of the first and one of the most effective witnesses against the Philadelphia mob. He testified in a series of trials back in the 1980s that brought down the Scarfo organization. He was a con man, a hustler, and an admitted hitman. He was in jail at the time, facing charges in the extortion of Willard Rouse. It was one of the first big mob gambits under the Scarfo reign as mob boss, and it involved the development of Penn's Landing. Caramandi went to Rouse's people and said, if you want certain city ordinances passed, you've got to pay us, the mob, $1 million. Now Rouse, instead of paying, went to the FBI. They got an undercover to pose as the project development official, and he met with Caramandi and he was wired for sound. Caramandi was subsequently arrested for attempted extortion. And he was sitting in the old Philadelphia Detention Center awaiting to go to trial, and he says he had no intention to cooperate.
I was far 150,000 miles from Turner when I was in jail. I wasn't even worried about the case because I didn't think they had that much on me.
But after several conversations with Long John Martorano, he came to believe that Nicky Scarfo wanted to kill him.
I go out to the yard, and as I'm walking toward the fence, and he jumps in the air and he makes the sign of the gun. It's this for you. I said, are you kidding me? Nope. He said, it's this. So I said, are you positive? He says, I'm positive. It's this for you. And I knew once Scarfo turned on you, it was the gun.
And that was the reason he decided to become a government witness, and that led to the downfall of the entire Scarfo organization. So Martorano, who subsequently came out of jail, had been labeled by some individuals in the underworld as the guy who turned Caramandi, the guy who made Caramandi flip. Now, why would Martorano do this? Caramandi talked about bad blood between Martorano and Scarfo. Part of it went back to a hit that Martorano was accused of carrying out, the murder of John McCullough. Martorano hired a hitman to carry out that murder, and that hitman subsequently became a government witness. More importantly, and perhaps this goes to the personal motivation of Martorano, his son, Georgie Cowboy Martorano, had been jammed up as a drug kingpin in a major methamphetamine distribution operation. Georgie Martorano, instead of going to trial, decided to plead out to the charges. And his lawyer was Bobby Simone, a close associate of Nicky Scarfo. However, when Georgie Martorano pled out to the drug kingpin charge, he was sentenced to life in prison, the maximum sentence in that case. And Long John Martorano, sitting in prison, began to wonder, why was my son given a maximum sentence when he pled out? And Martorano always blamed Bobby Simone and Nicky Scarfo for what happened to his son. And that might have been one of the reasons why he told Caramandi he had a problem. Caramandi to this day doesn't know if Martorano was telling him the truth or if Martorano was playing him. But there were sources on the street and in law enforcement who now say the murder of Long John Martorano stemmed from events that occurred back in the 1980s, events that led Nick Caramandi to become a cooperating witness, events that took down the Nicky Scarfo crime family.